I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, Israel's missile defense system is finally completed. Ultra-Orthodox Jews in Jerusalem attack a young soldier, and a special document belonging to a hero of the Holocaust is sold at auction. Stay tuned for the latest news in Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is warning Israel's enemies to reconsider any future attacks against the nation because the David Sling state-of-the-art missile interceptor has just become fully operational. The intermediate range system was jointly developed with the United States, and it completes Israel's formidable defense shield.
אבל עם כל החשיבות שאני מייחס ליכולת ההגנה שלנו, אני חוזר ומבהיר, המבקש להכותנו יוכה, המאיים על קיומנו ישים עצמו בסכנת קיום.
David Sling is capable of destroying rockets fired from as far away as 125 miles. The system was designed to counter the threat posed by Hezbollah just over Israel's northern border. The Iranian-backed Lebanese terror group last fought a war with Israel in 2006, but it also may be used in a looming potential conflict with Hamas to the south. Tensions are rising with the terror group amid intel that the Gaza rulers have acquired much larger warheads. The radical Islamists are also accusing Israel of having killed one of their commanders in recent days. David Sling joins the already operational short-range Iron Dome and the long-range Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 missiles. The Arrows were developed with the Iranian missile threat in mind, but Arrow 2 was used just last month to destroy an anti-aircraft missile fired from Syria after Israeli aircraft carried out strikes against weapon shipments to Hezbollah. Yesterday evening, a crowd of ultra-Orthodox Jews in the religious Jerusalem neighborhood of Mea Shearim protested and assaulted an Orthodox soldier passing by, as well as a policewoman who came to save him. ILTV's Aaron Porst joins me in the studio to report. Aaron, set the scene. How did this happen?
Well, basically, I'll get into the why in a moment, but why the soldier was walking through the Mea Shearim neighborhood when some of the ultra-Orthodox community members began to verbally assault him, calling him hardak, which is similar to the word for insect, and it's a derogatory term that the ultra-Orthodox use to refer to an ultra-Orthodox soldier. Some of the passersby in the area defended him, protected him, escorted him into a nearby bookshop, and then called the police, which is where they waited. So it's pretty bad.
Well, let's check out your report.
As the police arrived to rescue the young soldier, the crowd had grown considerably, and one person even threw a hat at a female responding officer, calling her a shiksa, meaning non-Jewish woman. The unrest within the ultra-Orthodox community has been steadily rising as of late, beginning with the arrest of Meir Toledano for avoiding a draft summons. Toledano was scheduled to receive draft exemption, but refused even to go to the office and receive it. Some within the Haredi neighborhoods expressed fear that the situation would break down further, saying police need to do more to combat the phenomenon of ultra-Orthodox protesters attacking people from or related to the army. One community member said, quote, "The writing is on the wall in bright red. We need to take action before it's too late," end quote.
Speaking of Meir Toledano, the young yeshiva student has just been sentenced to serve 56 days in military jail. ILTV's Aaron Porras is still here with more. Aaron, give us some more details on this case.
Well, as reported earlier, Toledano was arrested last month for avoiding the draft office, which is funny because he was scheduled to get a military exemption anyway in order to continue his yeshiva studies. The time he's been waiting since his arrest up until now sentencing will count towards the time in jail that he will have to serve. And while it seems silly or trivial, the situation is really coming to a head. It's getting, there's a lot of tension really rising up on this situation. So let's go to my report. I'll tell you more.
Toledano's arrest has sparked major uproar within the ultra-Orthodox Haredi community, becoming the basis for protests across Jerusalem and other ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods in Israel. Many of the protests have included violent elements, and in just the last protest, 3 police officers were wounded as roads were blocked and rioters threw rocks and other debris. 27 protesters were arrested. Toledano is a member of Rabbi Shmuel Auerbach's Lithuanian Haredi faction, a group vehemently opposed to service in the military. Though the ultra-Orthodox community, which makes up roughly 10% of the population, typically receives service exemptions, they must register for the draft at 18 in order to receive it. Toledano did not, and according to sources from within the protest groups, the demonstrations would continue until all those under arrest were released and returned to their natural place in study.
There's been a lot of conflicting media reports about efforts between Washington and Jerusalem to reach a consensus on Israel's building policies. What we do know comes from the White House, which says there are no ongoing formal negotiations at this time. But that doesn't imply some kind of wall of silence between the two countries. The Times of Israel is today citing an unnamed official with the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump, who says communications are continuing on a host of other issues, of which the settlements are only one component. He says it's inaccurate to say there's been a suspension of U.S. and Israel talks aimed at reaching an agreement on Israeli building in the West Bank. Overall, the Trump administration's expressed ambivalence over the matter. On one hand, the White House says the settlements aren't an impediment to peace. But at the same time, the Trump administration says they don't exactly help to advance peace either. The official in question says Trump is focusing on ways to revitalize a peace process with the Palestinians. And as part of his efforts to broker a resolution, this week Trump will be holding talks with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and Jordanian King Abdullah. The U.S. Republican leader is also slated to host PA President Abbas in Washington later this month. Just as soon as the Israeli government voted to establish a new settlement for the evacuees of Amona, many in the international community condemned the action, calling it illegal. Former Ambassador Alan Baker, an international law expert and a director at the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, discussed the legality of building in the West Bank for both Israelis and Palestinians under the Oslo Accords. He told ILTV's Mitchell Barak that border settlements and even Jerusalem are all on the negotiating table.
Well, according to the Oslo Accords, in the areas, each side has its own governance in particular areas. In Area A, which are the highly populated Arab towns, and Area B, which are the Arab villages, the Palestinian Authority has the right to build and zone and construct whatever it wants in its territory. In the same way, Israel, according to the agreement, has the responsibility and jurisdiction over Area C, which is the less populated part where Israel's military installations and settlements are. And by the same token, and it's specified in the Oslo Accords, Israel has the right to do zoning, planning and construction. So there's nothing illegal in the Oslo Accords. Of course, the obligation on both sides is to negotiate a permanent status agreement. And the permanent status agreement will include, and the agenda includes, the issue of settlements. So it's a negotiating issue, but anybody who claims that it's prohibited or it's illegal is basically prejudging the outcome of a negotiation that is yet to take place.
A lot of Israeli politicians and people in the international community refer to the three settlement blocks as being Gush Etzion, Ariel, and Ma'ale Adumim. Is there a significance to these settlement blocks, these three blocks, or is this just a good marketing on the part of the Israeli government?
Well, look, these are blocks of settlements, basically very close to the 1967 ceasefire lines or armistice demarcation lines or 1967 lines. The issue of borders is an issue on the negotiating table, as is the issue of settlements. And so it might well be that these blocks, if and when the negotiations take place and we reach an agreement, will become part of Israel or not. But this is, again, this is the outcome of a negotiation on borders, on settlements, Jerusalem, and on all the other issues.
And we're about to celebrate 50 years of capture of the areas from 1967 and liberation of those areas, as some people say. As someone who's been involved in negotiations, do you think we're close, somewhat close, or getting there as far as a settlement with the Palestinians involving those lands?
Well, look, you know, I've been involved in this from the very beginning for 30 years. And, you know, I can count many times where we've been close and we've kissed and hugged, including kissing and hugging with Arafat. And I've never washed my face since. And you know, well, I've been frustrated, and hence my bald head from bashing my head against a brick wall. You know, I'm frustrated. So I wouldn't say I'm pessimistic, but I still think that there is, once there's the political will and genuine political leadership among the Palestinians, but also among the Israelis, to get down and negotiate seriously, I think that it will be possible one day.
Now, get this, we have some new insight into the Israeli-American teenager who's suspected of perpetrating the widespread fake bomb campaign against Jewish facilities abroad. His mother is now speaking to the press. In her first televised interview, she apologized for her son's alleged actions. She says he should be helped, though, and not prosecuted. The family lives in the Israeli city of Ashkelon and is now afraid the 19-year-old may be extradited to stand trial in the United States. He is believed to have carried out as many as 1,000 threatening phone calls over the past 2 years to at least 4 different countries. The teenager is being called M, and his mother's only been identified as C. C says her son's unable to control his actions because he's been diagnosed with autism and also has a brain tumor. He doesn't have many friends and was homeschooled since the family came to Israel from the U.S. when he was 6. His mother says that even though M was a late developer, he's highly intelligent and very good at creating complex games. C is shocked over what happened and says that none of this makes sense because her son loves Judaism and even expressed concern over the bomb scares. For now, the teen remains in police custody, although his father, who works in the high-tech sector, has been released. Now, in a story of regional cooperation, Israel is working with the Palestinian Authority and the Jordanian government to create a new organization that turns local residents into first responders in the event of an earthquake. ILTV's Moishe Kurler reports.
The joint project, known as the Community Emergency Response Team, or CRT, is being led by Professor Limor Aaron's son Daniel, Vice Rector for International Academic Affairs at Ben-Gurion University. The project is funded in part by the Peace Partnership of the European Union and will allow the Israeli Magen David Adom to work closely with both the Jordanian Red Crescent and the Palestinian Authority's Green Land Society. Participants of the projects have had to undergo a 100-hour field course that covers first aid, shelter, hygiene, socio-social support, search and rescue, firefighting, and community resilience. The goal of the project is to enable different first responder teams across the region to be ready to assist one another in the event of an emergency. Professor Limor Aaron Daniel has said that collaboration, which began with training the first Jordanian paramedics a decade ago, has continued with the establishment of local emergency response teams over the past 3 years. She went on to say that above all, the project has sparked personal relationships and friendships that prove that regional collaboration is indeed possible. A 2007 report authored by both Jordanian and Israeli seismologists warned that the region is overdue for an earthquake and that the threat constitutes a real as well as a current threat to the safety, social integrity, and economic well-being of the people in the region. The last major earthquake in Israel took place in 1927, killing over 400 and demolishing much of Jerusalem and Hebron. Israel and Jordan both sit on a major tectonic fault line that at any point could trigger an earthquake, potentially devastating cities in the West Bank, Israel, and Jordan.
We've all been hearing about the 1% of Americans who are the richest people in the country. Well, Israel's finance ministry thought it would be interesting to take a look at the same percentile of those living in the Jewish state, and here's what they found. First, we find out that the average member of this elite group is a 56-year-old male. He would live in Tel Aviv and scoops up about $10 million per year before taxes. The mega-rich in Israel make $16.5 million a year compared with just under $35,000 by your average Israeli. That's 290 times more, meaning these 1%ers rake in nearly 3% of all income earned in the Jewish state. 80% live in the center, with slightly more than half of them residing in the city of Tel Aviv. As for gender equality, even though Israeli women constitute 46% of the labor force, only 11% make it onto Israel's version of Forbes' top 400 list. Females in the general population take home about 65% less than their male colleagues, and that inequality also exists among the rich, except there's only a 12% disparity. While a whopping 93% majority of Israelis have to actually work for a living, just about the same number of wealthy wealthy citizens derive their income from financial investments and capital gains. When it comes to taxes, the super rich pay about 400 times more taxes than the rest of the country, although that's less than other relatively wealthy Israelis because they aren't subject to progressive rates. So if you have plans to join Israel's most elite club, all you need to do is start earning about $2.8 million a year. That shouldn't be too hard, right? All right, guys, the Passover holidays are coming up, and here in Israel, many use a holiday as a chance to travel and see the world. I know that I, for one, am planning to take a few days off to relax somewhere on a beach with a nice cold cocktail. And joining me in the studio now is Itai Melsipal, the CEO of Pruvonet, a startup that helps you and maybe me book the cheapest possible hotel room. Hello.
Thanks.
Why didn't I hear about you before? I'm going on vacation next week.
It's never too late.
Exactly. So what exactly does your service do?
Okay, for the explanation, let's say that you decided to go on a vacation. You enter the internet and start looking for hotels. After hours and hours of search, you are 100% sure that you've got the best price. But what you didn't know is that hotel prices tend to change even after reservation. And that's what our Pruvo is trying to solve. Pruvo is an online service that takes an existing hotel reservation from any website, really any website, tracks its price, and notify you once there is a price drop for the exact room you already booked.
That's so interesting. Now, I mean, first of all, what inspired this idea?
Okay. 2 years ago, about 2 years ago, when I decided to go on a vacation, I spent hours and hours in getting the best hotel deal. And when I decided to go and upgrade one of my rooms, I noticed that the same room I booked was almost 40% off the price I paid.
Oh.
So at that moment,
That's painful.
and at that moment, I just took a lot of hotel reservations, tried to monitor it and to see if this phenomenon is happening in all hotel reservations. And what I noticed is that in almost 40% of hotel reservation, there is a price drop after reservation. So
interesting. And so you, I mean, is this something that automatically applies to any booking that you do on a site like Travelocity or Orbitz, or is it a site in of itself that you would go to?
Okay. The idea behind Pruvo is that it doesn't take as a booking site. What we do is once you make a reservation online, you send your reservation to save at pruvo.net, okay. And then we start monitoring your hotel reservation price. If we find a better price, it doesn't matter, it can be in Expedia, Booking.com, or Velocity, it doesn't matter where, we give you all the information and you decide on which site you want to make the new reservation, and after you make the reservation, all you have to do is go and cancel your old and more expensive one.
Interesting. So, I mean, I guess the question is, how often does this happen? I mean, are you seeing this happen a lot? People are making bookings and they're seeing huge drops in the prices?
Yeah, it happens almost in 40% of the hotel reservation people send us, okay?
Wow.
And we got almost 3,000 hotel reservations from May, and with a price drop of over $45,000, so we saved a lot.
That's a lot of money being saved, and now I feel like I need to watch out or download. So it's an app that you download?
No, actually it's a website.
It's a website.
It's super simple because all you have to do is just forward your hotel reservation. As well as the website, we have also a home extension that you install it once, and once you make a new reservation on booking sites, it doesn't matter, automatically it fits and starts scanning.
Wow, that's incredible. All right, so right now I understand that you guys are relatively new. Where is the service available? Does it apply to hotels all over the world or specific areas?
The service is worldwide in 3 languages, in Hebrew, Spanish, and English. And it works with thousands of hotel reservation sites, so it doesn't matter where you live or what you do, you can use Pruvo.
Now the question is, if I've already made a booking, can I go back and feed it into your site?
Of course. What we recommend is that until the last week or 2 weeks before the arrival to the hotel, we recommend you to do only free cancellation bookings, and in that moment, you can enjoy multiple price drops until the check-in dates. So.
Wow, this is like the money saver's dream. So how are hotels responding to this? I mean, this is probably a big blow to them, right? If they're changing prices like that, and all of a sudden somebody is catching it.
Yeah, but what we currently see on the market is that people nowadays making a lot of extra hotel reservations. So there is the phenomena exists in the market because people do it manually maybe, but we don't try to we try to change the market into an efficient one. So we want the customers to enjoy a lower price because everyone need to travel in a cheaper price than today.
Absolutely. Well, it seems like you guys have created something that is going to help travelers like myself, and I wish I knew about it before, but now that I do, I can still use it, right?
It's never too late.
It's never too late. All right, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
One of the greatest heroes of the Second World War was a Swedish diplomat, Raoul Wallenberg. He's credited with personally rescuing at least 15,000 Jews from certain death. And now one of the documents he signed to save the life of one woman has just been sold for more than $13,000. While serving as Stockholm's wartime envoy to Budapest, Wallenberg sheltered Jews desperate to escape Nazi death camps on property designated as Swedish territory. The elaborate network he created included hospitals, nurseries, and safe houses. And even though the 32-year-old aristocratic diplomat had no previous administrative experience, he also issued protective passports and other documents to Jews. One of those certificates just came up at auction in Los Angeles. An unidentified bidder paid $13,310 for an affidavit signed by Wallenberg on September 22, 1944. This single piece of paper saved the life of a Hungarian Jewish woman, Sigmonde Simko. It declared she was under the protection of the Swedish government and therefore was exempted from forced labor or wearing the Jewish yellow star that would have put her in imminent peril. It's tragic that the invading Soviet army later arrested Raoul Wallenberg as a suspected spy in 1945. His fate remains unknown to this day, although it's believed he died in a Russian prison around 1947. Israel's Yad Vashem Holocaust Authority officially recognized the courageous Swedish diplomat as one of the righteous among the nations in 1963. So now's the time to ask if any of our viewing audience fell for any April Fool's jokes going around a few days ago. Well, one Israeli high-tech company decided to poke a little fun while also exploring a very serious topic. ILTV's Joy Gavichon joins us with more on the story. Hi, Joy.
Hi, Natasha.
So tell us about this video. I understand it's a little bit about world peace, but there's something funny about it, correct?
Correct. Well, this day, peace, the word peace, is something we talk about and we hear a lot around the world, and like mostly here in the Middle East.
But it's not happening.
Sadly, we don't see it happen.
Right.
But I believe the reason this video has become like a success around the internet is because it kind of keeps our hopes up. But let's watch it.
Let's watch it. Let's check it out.
So far, all of humanity's efforts to create world peace have failed. Israel's Mellanox Technologies firm devoted its creative talents into a video, representing what it would be like if artificial intelligence could one day help to reach the seemingly unattainable goal. Images of the world's aging leaders are shown, actually signing monumental peace agreements with their enemies. Let's take a look.
Look down, I'm standing right in front of you. Can you see me? I won't be here for long, and you'll cry, and you'll cry when I'm gone.
The Mellanox video has already gone viral with over 3 million views and climbing. The company says its inspirational campaign is aimed at demonstrating just how AI technologies can be used to create a better future for mankind. The real message is simple, that real peace shouldn't take that long, and let's hope it doesn't.
The Hebrew word of the day is brought to you by the University of Haifa, Hebrew Summer Ulpan, open to everyone.
And now for our Hebrew word of the day. As much as we all like to stand on our own accomplishments, we all need a little help sometimes from a friend. That's why today's word is shotaf, meaning partner. There are many different examples of shotafim, or partners, in Hebrew. You could use a shotaf when playing team sports, and you could be living with a shotaf dira, or a roommate. Coming from the word leshatef, which means to share. A shotaf can be anyone who you're sharing something with. Your friends could be shotafim, or partners, for your innermost secrets. For example, just remember that the keys to success is in just about anything from business to marriage is having the right shotaf. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight is supposed to be fair to partly cloudy with a low of 53 or 12 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow you can expect it to be sunny and unseasonably warm with a drop in humidity and a high of 81 or 27 degrees Celsius. All right, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.63 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv. Thanks for watching and see you next time.